Whenever there's a discussion about the Dragon Ball franchise, the installment that always gets talked about the most is, without a doubt, Dragon Ball Z, and it makes sense. After all, it's the most popular one, and for a very good reason. However, the one that I rarely see mentioned anywhere, and I think it's the one that deserves way more recognition, is the original Dragon Ball. It started in 1984 and was written by the legendary Akira Toriyama, God rest his soul, and it received its anime adaptation just a year later. This is the very beginning of the entire story, and it really boggles my mind how normalized it is to just completely skip it and go straight to Dragon Ball Z, because I think you really miss out if you don't experience the original one first. I mean, that is like half of the entire story. As many of you already know, in the original run of the manga, there was no OG Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z. There was just Dragon Ball, which was 42 volumes long, and it was just one story. However, the anime was split into two, and nowadays we know them as two separate things. However, that is not what we are here to talk about today. We are here to talk about the original Dragon Ball, and we're gonna be ranking all of its 9 arcs. A few disclaimers before I begin. Number 1, none of the arcs in the OG are bad, so even though one arc has to take the last place, it doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that the rest of the arcs are stronger, in my opinion. I like every single arc there is, and I think all of them are really good. Number 2, the Red Ribbon Army is usually referred to as one big saga that consists of 4 sub-arcs, and people usually rank it as a whole. I will do it a little bit differently, and I will rank all 4 of them individually. Now, with that out of the way, let's take a look at Akira Toriyama's underrated masterpiece, the original Dragon Ball. When I was making this ranking, I realized it was actually way harder to come up with the last place than it was to come up with the first place, but ultimately I decided to give the last number to Fortune Teller Baba. The purpose of this arc is to conclude the whole Red Ribbon Army saga. At this point in the story, the Red Ribbon Army has already been defeated. However, Upa's father, Bora, was killed by mercenary Tao Pai Pai. And now Goku and his friends are trying to bring all of the Dragon Balls back together so they can bring him back to life. They are missing one Dragon Ball, and up to this point the Dragon Radar was used to find all of the Dragon Balls. However, it's not showing the location of the last ball, so Goku and the others head to Fortune Teller Baba's place, who is Master Rose's sister. She can show the location of the last remaining Dragon Ball using her crystal ball, but only if Goku and his friends can defeat 5 different fighters. I think all the fights in this arc were really enjoyable to watch, but the one that truly matters is the last fight between Goku and this masked man, who after the fight is revealed to be Goku's deceased grandpa Gohan.
やれやれ情けないの今頃気づきおってそうじゃわしちゃよ
Goku and Gohan share a nice moment together for the last time until Gohan disappears again.
Goku!
会いたかったよ。
Baba uses her crystal ball to locate the last Dragon Ball, and it's inside a car. And the car is driven by none other than the Pilaf gang. Goku then quickly chases them down, but Pilaf, Shu and Mai came prepared, and they had these robots with them that Pilaf just calls the Pilaf machines. The fight itself is really fun to watch or read through.
Oi! かかってこないんだったらオラから行っちゃうぞ!
It doesn't take really long before Goku defeats the Pilaf gang again and receives the last Dragon Ball. The arc closes off with Goku starting a train for the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai that is happening within 3 years from now. Although this is my least favorite arc of the original, it doesn't change the fact that it's always fun to revisit, either through the anime or the manga. Akira Toriyama originally started out as a gag manga artist, and I think it becomes especially clear with this arc. It relies heavily on comedy and at no point takes itself seriously at all. The plot is very simple and straightforward. Goku meets characters who would later become his lifelong friends like Bulma, Yamcha and Master Roshi, and takes on a journey with them to find all the 7 Dragon Balls, while at the same time, the Dragon Balls are also being pursued by the Pilaf gang, since Pilaf wants to wish for world domination. Now, like I said, the first arc doesn't take itself seriously at all. All of the villains we meet on the way, if I can even call them that, like Pilaf and Boss Rabbit, are very cowardly and don't really feel like an actual threat, and they're not supposed to. They are just supposed to be fun characters. I think this is one of those arcs that was improved in the anime adaptation. You see, even though it's called the Pilaf arc, Pilaf showed up for the first time in chapter 18, kind of out of nowhere in the manga. While in the anime he's there since episode 1 and is established as a villain right away. A lot of filler featuring Pilaf and his gang was added for the anime, and it makes the experience much better and, to be frank, way funnier as well. Pilaf is one of my favorite characters from the original Dragon Ball, so all filler with him is very much appreciated. Overall, the arc is pretty good. We are introduced to so many characters who are now iconic, and we also see Shenlong is summoned for the first time ever. Both versions are great, but if I had to choose an approach how to revisit it in the future, I would choose the anime. The General Blue arc is the second arc of the Red Ribbon Army saga. It's in this arc that I think you could make the argument that we get the first actual villain of the OG Dragon Ball. All the villains up to this point have been either comedic relief, like Pilaf, or just dealt with very quickly, like all of Goku's opponents in the Muscle Tower during the first arc of the Red Ribbon saga. Blue pursues our heroes to the underwater cave, which is said to have a pirate treasure, and this makes him an active threat throughout the arc. It's something we haven't seen before until now. The fight eventually leads them to Penguin Village, and we meet characters from Dr. Slump, Akira Toriyama's gag manga he wrote before Dragon Ball. And the one who ultimately defeats Blue is none other than Arale. It's a solid, fun arc, and it's fairly short with only 13 chapters in the manga and 11 episodes in the anime. In the first part of the Red Ribbon Army saga, Goku wants to find his grandpa's 4-star Dragon Ball once again, but he quickly realizes that a new enemy is also after the Dragon Balls. The Red Ribbon Army led by Commander Red. The first enemy who Goku encounters is Colonel Silver, who in the manga is dealt with pretty quickly, while in the anime this fight happens a little later because we have a couple of filler episodes featuring the Pilaf gang once again, ChiChi and Oaks King. I know that I said that I love the Pilaf gang and all filler, including them, is welcome. But for this specific arc, I much prefer how it was handled in the manga. The filler isn't bad in my opinion, but it doesn't really add anything that meaningful to the overall story. After Silver is dealt with, Goku finds a plane piloted by a robot. He uses the plane to make his way to Muscle Tower, located in Jingle Village, which is one of the Red Ribbon Army headquarters. And the highest ranking member in the tower is General White. Goku stumbles upon a couple of villagers like Suno, who tells Goku that the village chief was actually kidnapped by White and is currently being kept in the Muscle Tower, so all the more reason for him to go there. Goku fights his way up. The first real opponent he meets in the tower is named Major Metallitron, who is definitely not a reference to the Terminator by any means. Other enemies he has to fight includes Ninja Murasaki, that section is really funny, and Buion, I probably butchered that name, or as he's called in the manga, the Jiggler? Okay. Earlier, when facing Murasaki, Goku met Android 8, who he teamed up with, and together they take out General White, and they rescue the village chief successfully. I don't really have much else to say about this arc. It's really funny and action-packed all the way through, and it's fun to revisit every time. This arc takes place 3 years after the Fortune Teller Baba arc. We are now at the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai, where Goku will face the newly introduced Ten Shinhan. Ten and his friend Chaozu are part of the Crane School led by Master Shen, or also known as the Crane Hermit. Shen is Master Roshi's rival and has been since they were very young, as they were both students of the late Master Mutaito, the greatest martial arts teacher of all time. The most important aspect we get in this arc is Ten Shinhan's growth. He starts out as a really brutal and cold-hearted guy. He idolized mercenary Tao, who is also the brother of Master Shen, and he desired to become a famous assassin like him. However, due to Master Roshi's and Goku's influence, he eventually turns to the good side and betrays the Crane Hermit to join Goku and the others. The anime also added a couple of fantastic filler episodes for this arc. In the manga, the first time Ten Shinhan appears, he comes out of nowhere without any introduction, while in the anime they filled in the 3-year gap between the Baba arc and this one because the actual training was never shown in the manga. So here, Goku meets Ten Shinhan and Chaozu for the first time. The two are seen saving villagers from this monster known as Inoshikacho, and they receive a lot of money for protecting the villagers. But as we later find out, the monster is actually in on this as well, so Ten Shinhan and Chaozu are basically scamming innocent villagers. I think this episode adds so much to the overall narrative. We can see Ten Shinhan go from this cold-hearted, brutal man to one of the most respected warriors of this entire planet. This arc is absolutely fantastic, and I didn't even mention the fight between Goku and Ten Shinhan and how awesome that is, or how awesome the other fights are, like Goku versus Krillin. There's so much stuff in this arc, but I wanted to just go over the most important parts, in my opinion. The best part out of the entire Red Ribbon saga. Not only do we get this amazing fight between Goku and Mercenary Tao, we are introduced to the Korin Tower, probably one of the most recognizable structures in all of Dragon Ball. And we also get that awesome final fight between Goku and the Red Ribbon Army, where Goku just wipes out everyone all by himself. Tao knocks out Goku with his Dodonrai technique. He thinks he killed him and he leaves, but in reality, Goku had a Dragon Ball under his shirt which saved his life. Realizing that Tao is way too strong for Goku, he climbs the Korin Tower, which no one has climbed successfully in a very long time. Goku meets a Korin, another martial arts master who also trained Roshi for a bit. Korin tells Goku about the sacred water. If you drink it, your strength will increase. But to get it, Goku would have to catch Korin to receive the water. It takes Goku 3 days to finally catch him, and when he receives the water, it's not actually sacred water, it's just normal tap water. Korin tells Goku that the thing that actually made Goku stronger is the fact that he climbed the tower itself, and his efforts to actually catch Korin in the tower. After this, Goku and Tao finally have a rematch, and this time Goku wins. At the end of the arc, Goku storms the Red Ribbon Army base and wipes out all the members. Officer Black, the assistant of Commander Red, kills him before Goku can reach him. Black jumps into a robot known as a Battle Jacket to try to take out Goku, but Goku punches through the robot and then it explodes, killing Black in the process. And this was the end of the Red Ribbon Army until Dragon Ball Z. One of the best things about the original Dragon Ball are the tournament arcs, and the first tournament arc is no exception. Goku and Krillin have been receiving extremely heavy training from Master Roshi to get ready for the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai. Goku's and Krillin's goal is obviously to win, but that was never Roshi's intention. Roshi wants to teach them that no matter how strong you are, there will always be someone even stronger. Roshi thinks that if Goku or Krillin were to actually win this tournament, it would go too much into their heads, and it would bite them in the ass later down the line when they would meet someone even stronger. That's why Roshi decides to disguise himself and participate in the tournament. He's named Jackie Chun in the tournament, which is one of the funniest gags in the whole arc. One of the other funny gags is when Krillin fights this guy named Bacterian, a guy who smells so bad it's almost impossible to attack him without fainting. Krillin almost loses to this guy until Goku shouts that he doesn't even have a nose, so you can't smell him. And after that, Krillin is like, "Oh yeah, you're right," and he just beats the shit out of Bacterian. This arc perfectly balances the hype action and comedy, and it's equally as good in both the manga and the anime. And I mean, look at some of these panels in the manga, man. These actually go so hard. 10 out of 10, it's just perfect. And it's one of my favorite arcs in the entire franchise. I think King Piccolo arc was when the series started to make a turn for a more serious tone that Dragon Ball Z would later have. While we've had at least one serious villain before this, that being Tao Pai Pai, he was never the main villain of that arc. But that changes during this arc, since now we have the Demon King Piccolo as our main villain. This guy is about as pure evil as you can get. His plan is to dominate the world and kill the entire human race. He also abolishes the entirety of the law system so that there are no punishment for crimes, to create as much chaos as possible. He was originally sealed away by a technique called Mafuba, and he was stored inside a rice cooker. However, he was released by the Pilaf gang. Although Piccolo is very old, he is still a menace. He manages to kick Goku's ass, but even worse, using the Dragon Balls, he manages to wish for eternal youth, which only makes him even stronger than he already is. But wait, there's even more. He outright kills Shenlong. Goku learns through Korin that even though the sacred water was complete bogus, there actually is something that is real, and it's called the Ultra Divine Water. It's a drink that has a very painful poisonous effects, but if you can survive it, you will become much more strong physically. Goku takes this chance and survives, giving him a significant boost in strength. What follows is the second best fight in the original Dragon Ball anime, and some of the best panels in the manga up to this point. Goku ultimately kills King Piccolo by punching himself through his stomach. But before King Piccolo dies, he spits out an egg containing a new baby Piccolo, and he wants him to avenge him one day when he's grown older. This new Piccolo, or like he's referred to as Piccolo Jr., would later become the iconic character that we all know and love. After this arc, I was sure that this was the peak of the OG Dragon Ball, and there was no way it would ever get better than this. But then it did get a lot better in the final arc. Piccolo Jr. arc is another tournament arc as well as the final arc of the OG storyline. The tournament takes place once again 3 years after the King Piccolo arc, and now Goku has grown up. King Piccolo's son has also participated for the tournament with the sole purpose to kill Goku. Before this tournament starts, we get some of the best filler the OG has to offer. The whole part where Goku trains with Mr. Popo in the lookout is not only fun to watch, it's also different in a way that it focuses only on the training part. The previous training filler we saw didn't really focus on the actual training itself at all. We mostly saw some other subplots be explored, so it's refreshing to see actual training for once. Also, Mr. Popo is just a great character. All of the matches leading up to Goku vs Piccolo are great, but the fight between Goku and Piccolo is not only one of the best fights of the original Dragon Ball, I would argue it is one of the best fights in the entire series. I just cannot understand how there are so many people in the fandom who have never seen this fight. This fight is peak Dragon Ball, and the panels in the manga, oh my god, man.
待て! どうするつもりだ?
よーい来た
すごい! 決まった。
This is the first time Goku ever wins a tournament, and it's against his toughest opponent yet. Up to this point, Goku has lost all of the other tournaments. He always came in second place. But this time, he won, which feels like the ultimate payoff. After the fight is over, the anime offers some last filler episodes before the series ends, and during the final filler episode, Goku and ChiChi gets married, which is just the perfect way to not only end this arc, but to end the original series as a whole. Dragon Ball means a lot to so many people, me included. That's why it made me genuinely sad when I heard the news of Akira Toriyama's passing back in March of this year. He was just 68 years old and he was still involved in the making of Dragon Ball Super. It just feels like there was still so much story to tell for him. So as for the ending for this video, I want to thank you so much for watching it all the way through the end. If you wish to see more videos like this in the future, make sure to like the video and give the channel a sub. And finally, I want to thank Akira Toriyama for making Dragon Ball and giving all of us these great memories of the franchise. Your legacy will live on forever. That is all for today's video. I will see you in the next one.